get hit with shit, I'm literally going to be like, well, that's a wrap on my day. I'm like, I'm going home, and there's no one is going to stop me. So I'm going home. Like,
I
that's
got
just
fucking literal human shit on me. Human shit.
I wouldn't get mad. I wouldn't scream. I'd just be like this. All right, well, I'm done. And go get in my car and just go home. And that would be about the extent of it, the extent of it. So I'm talking to one of the nurses, and I don't remember what they were talking about. And, you hear her screaming because a lot of people do things like people, they're normally up all night because they can't sleep or whatever. And all you hear is this.
Oh, no.
I look to the left. There's brown on the window. I had become so accustomed to, like, anything. I looked and I said, so yeah, anyway. So what I plan on doing for Thanksgiving, and that was it.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So, no.
Don't feed the animals, signs all around. We talk a lot of junk, yeah, you vibing with us now. Build something from the ground up, yeah, we like to clown. Talk about some real stuff, yeah, something profound. It's a pleasure that you hearing us, wouldn't mess around. It's a topic of discussion worth talking that we bust and put a nail in the coffin. If you love it, then you love it. If you don't mean nothing, still bring it to the public. Y'all, don't feed the animals, put them in a cage, they couldn't handle truth. We gonna bust out the gate like some cannibals. Same face, same channel, messing with the tune. A bunch of idiots stuck in one room, can't take us serious. You love what we feeding you, on with the show, yeah, proceed with the interview. Local celebrity, snatch a toy from your cereal. Don't feed the animals.
Hello, everybody, once again to another episode of Don't Feed the Animals podcast with your host, as always, James. And with me, I have my lovely co-host, Lola. Hey, Lola. And we have a special guest today. We have somebody with an education, which is fun to have, because I definitely don't. Will. How's it going, Will?
Everything is going good.
Good. There's a reason why we brought you here today, because it is a special guest episode where we get to interview Will.
Nice.
Yes. Very nice. Okay, cool. So, Will, why don't you tell our lovely, lovely animals what you do for a living? For right now.
Well, currently I am a mental health therapist, and I work with addiction, depression, anxiety, trauma, the whole kit and caboodle.
Very nice. Very nice. So, if anybody has heard any of my prior episodes, they know that I am a huge advocate of therapy, considering I think I've even, one of my episodes, I've talked about having a panic attack literally the day before, and I went to the hospital.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Yeah.
Those are fun. The thinking that you're dying when you're not is great.
Yeah.
It's this is very fun experience, but I talked my way through it, and a couple therapy sessions later, several therapy sessions later, I am been okay and haven't had a session since. So, hooray for me!
Hooray for those coping skills!
Yay! I got good coping skills. That's fun. But yes. So, how is it working? And these So where do you work?
So, I currently work at a place called the Bougainvillea House. It's located in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Specializes mostly with children, but my age range goes from 8 years old to currently my oldest is 45. So, I get a mixed bag, pretty much like M&M, Skittles, anything you can put your hand on. They come to me, I talk with them, because I'm probably one of the more direct therapists. There's no, how does that make you feel? I'm more the type that says, hey, you're fucking up. You're fucking up.
You're more of a tough love therapist.
Yeah.
In a sense, obviously, I'm sure that, you're trained to take care of the situations accordingly. So
Yeah, it depends. It depends. I mean, I wouldn't say that's like the 8-year-old, but for certain people, you have to know your audience. You have to know the people you're talking to, because certain people, you're not going to just be like, oh, it's okay. How did that make you feel? Because how often have you heard, how does that make you feel? So for me, I have to kind of be more of a, well, what's going on? It's more of a conversation when you come into my therapy.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm not the whole, how's everything? Oh, it's okay. How does it make you feel? No, it's more of a, all right, well, what's going on? Like what's going on? Just tell me what's popping. What is it? And people they go from there. You get more out of a conversation than you do out of like what feels like a script sometimes when you walk in there.
For sure. Absolutely. I love sharing. I'm what they call an oversharer. So I know that I've had my run-ins with therapy for reasons that obviously I have no problem talking about at the moment. The first time I was in my 20s, I experienced severe anxiety, bursting out in tears, like while I'm driving type shit. That was pretty awful. And is because I experienced, when I finally went to therapy, they said that I had I have like death phobia or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
I have like the fear of death.
Yeah.
Just the general, like that's the only thing I really like, not how or whatever. It's just
it's going to happen.
The inevitability. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like going through that, because it was like so this is how I took it, because especially in my 20s when I'm a Mr. Know-It-All. So like I think I know everything. So I'm like, I know all the answers, and because I at that point I'm sorry, there's a fly to everybody, and if you hear this, just root for us, because we're going in for it. Fucking fly. Always, never a dull moment on Don't Feed the Animals, guys. Never a dull moment. So no, back to my death anxiety. Which that fucking fly should have right now.
No, like I said, it's coming. It's going to experience it.
We're going to get it by the end of this episode, or else. So, yes. So, I went to this therapist, and she was good. I just needed anybody to, like, just give me an answer on, like, how to feel better. And I was down for, like, any counseling that they said. So, I was... The thing is, though, like, she did tell me that, though. And every therapist I had, they kind of do tell me, like, you get everything pretty quickly. Like, you kind of, like, take in the answers that, or you take in any advice that you actually listen to the advice. I'm like, isn't that why I'm here? You know what I mean? Like,
some people don't.
It's crazy, right? I don't know why I don't know. You know what it is? Why I did? Because I'm like, if I don't fucking figure this out, the alternative is me losing my mind. So I have to try my hardest to take in any advice and convince myself that I know that what I'm scared of is fucked up, but if I don't do anything about it, I'm gonna be this is it. Like, this is the quality of my life, and I can't accept that. So I had to do something.
So you were having like an irrational fear to death?
Yeah. I'm talking about waking up in the middle of the night in cold sweat and heavy panting and breathing. Like, yeah. Because anytime I thought about death, and lots of things can trigger it. If I go by a church, triggers it. Go by a cemetery, triggers it. If we're talking about old people, triggers it. Like, really a lot of things just trigger. And then it would so when it was out of control is when I stopped worrying about my own death and I started worrying about my other people around me death. So that fucked me up too. So it was a lot of stuff that really like fucked me up with the whole death anxiety thing. So my therapist, what she did was she gave me like the stupidest things, but it worked because it was like overthink everything in a way. Like she said, when you start thinking about that thought, she told me to like, I don't know what they call this, so you may help me. Like she said, think of it as like the thought and idea as something like physical that you can grab, and then put it in something, whatever you come up with.
Oh, yeah, that's
and then like shoot it out into like space or see it go away.
Yeah, it's like a container.
Yeah.
So sometimes what we do is like we'll say you have your safe place, then you have a container. So like what you do is you'll think of, let's say, well, first and foremost, whenever you can't control when a thought comes to you. You can't control that, but what you can do is control the content of that thought. That's where people have like the hardest time. It's like, because if something pops into your head, it pops into your head. Like, for instance, every 7 seconds since we started this podcast, your mind has gone somewhere else and it came right back. Psychologically, it happens every 7 seconds. It's like, no, that's not the clapping for the fly. That's me snapping my fingers.
We're going to get the fly. Trust me.
We will get it.
We're dabbing that up.
But yeah, it's that's actually a very effective technique, because it's like you take that emotion and you have to move it somewhere else, because it's crazy when you think about death. Not to get completely off topic.
No, yeah.
It's it's almost like you said, it's irrational, but at the same time it is rational, because it is something no one can avoid. It's not something you can get around. It comes for everyone. And it's scary because we don't know what happens next.
Oh yeah, that's why I was like, I felt like such a smart ass. Like, I'm like, like a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, I have fear of heights, or I fear of like small spaces. It's like, well, you can avoid that. I'm like, tell me to avoid that. Tell me to motherfucking avoid death. Like, I felt like I was like, haha, gotcha. I figured out the one thing I'm allowed to be scared of.
Yeah, and then from there, that is definitely full blown anxiety, because anxiety is when you're worrying about the future. That's anxiety. The opposite, depression, is when we're more concerned with the past, which is why therapists always say we want to stay here in the present, because we don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now. Stuff happens. Literally. Shit happens. There's no way to get around it. So it's like you focus on what you have here. Find the gratitude of what's here. Not what's going to happen to you maybe 7 years down the road. 80.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you really found the fountain of youth. Maybe you live forever. But we don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's really what it is. It was like, get your mind off of it and really don't think that far ahead, or don't think about like that kind of shit. Because honestly, it took away that way of thinking did nothing but take away what I know is true, and that is the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So
how do you stay in the present?
So there's multiple ways. Normally what therapists go to is what we call grounding techniques. So let's say, for instance, you're having a panic attack. You're sweating bullets, heavy of breath, your mind's racing all over the place. What I would say is this, and this is something everyone can do. What do you feel in your feet?
My boots.
Okay. Now, move from your feet. What do you feel in your knees? What sensation?
Pain, because my knees always hurt. I'm old already.
Okay.
Okay, so you feel pain, right? What about your stomach?
Don't say hungry, I fed you.
It's tight. It's pants are tight. Yeah, the pants.
Okay, so you feel the pinch. Now, what do you feel in your face?
My glasses.
Now, do a full body scan from your feet to your knees to your stomach to your face. What do you feel?
Me? My person?
Okay. Now, whatever you were thinking about at the time, what were you thinking about? You were focusing more on the sensations of your body. You're staying grounded in the physical realm as opposed to your mind wandering somewhere else. That's one way to ground yourself. But there's I won't say infinite, but there's numerous ways where you can ground yourself. Like whenever you may be having a panic attack, sometimes that may not be enough. Like I've seen some people, they'll go grab ice and they'll put it on their face to feel the sensation. Some
back
people,
of the neck.
Yeah, back of the neck. Some people may take their hands and they may rub it hard because the sensation will kind of ground you. You focus on that one sensation. If someone's around you, they may say, hey, focus on me. Like, what do you hear? What do you hear? Look around you. What do you see? Like, for instance, what do you hear right now besides my voice?
The fan. This is the fan.
Okay.
And the static.
Now, also, what do you feel? Besides what you felt in your body, like when we went through the entire body, what do you feel?
What do I feel?
Yeah, sure. What sensations?
I don't know. My skin is itchy. I hear everything. I hear you.
Yeah, because the headphones.
Yeah, but you see, you're focusing on what's immediately around you. That's a grounding technique.
My technique of grounding myself, it's like the 5 senses. 1 thing I can smell, 2 things I can see, 3 things I can hear, and so on. And so I and it's difficult to come back from the firefly state, but it helps me so much.
Yeah, and that's another good one. The five senses, like, what do you feel, hear, taste? What I would recommend as well, which I would say, if you do have the ability to, it's always good to seek out a clinician for whatever it may be, because the coping skills are kind of like the Band-Aid, but the therapy is like going to get like I would say like the skin graft to make sure that everything heals properly. You have to go and address whatever it is that is triggering you, because you need to find out what it is. It's like there's a surface, you can keep shaving away at the surface, but if the problem's on the very bottom, you want to get to the bottom to root out that issue. But I would say for now, absolutely, you use those coping skills, because anything can happen, anything can trigger you. It may not be one thing or another, but I would say in order to fully overcome it, it would be beneficial, I'll put it that way, to go definitely see a clinician. It doesn't hurt. We're not scary individuals. Some of us can be, but but I would say no, go and find the right person for you, and then just explore. That's what therapy is all about, exploring to see what it is. And remember, there's nothing wrong with you. It's a matter of just seeing what can you adjust. And I always tell people, you don't have problems, because that's a
yeah. There's always like this huge stigma, and I feel like that's like I don't know, because I'm such an advocate for it, but I've heard, I don't want to like address my problems. I don't want to come off like I'm a weirdo. I don't want to, it's embarrassing. I don't want some people who go through trauma or have had issues, they don't want to retouch those issues by talking about them, right, because that's what fucked them up to begin with. You know, so they really don't want to talk about that. That's like the last thing they want to do. But
and what we call that's avoidance.
Yeah,
because a lot of people, I tell everyone, the hardest thing anyone has to do is look in the mirror to see like what issues do you need to address. And of course, no one wants to do it. That's because that's the hard route. If it was easy, everyone would do it, but it's not.
Right.
How hard is it to? I could put it this way. Tell me 5 negative things about yourself. You can make them up if you want. 5 negative.
Of course, I really have to make them up, because it's really
because you are
difficult.
You are perfect.
So I perceive myself as perceive myself. Okay, I'm overthinking. All right, I know that I'm a procrastinator. I know that I am. I don't want to fucking blow myself up. I know I am a. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be mental,
just
right?
You can make anything.
Okay, I'm a procrastinator. I overeat. I am out of shape. I maybe I'm not as thoughtful sometimes as others, and I don't find myself to be as I lack self-confidence.
Okay, now name 5 positive things. Yeah, see, you, as soon as you say name 5 positive things, people are like, this, like, oh shit, like, god damn, that's like, oh boy, but
I was gonna go in. I was like, well, I'm also kind of handsome sometimes, and then I think I like this, and I think I like that. Yeah. But it's true. Yeah,
it's easier. It's funny enough. Like I said, when most people don't want to look in the mirror. They just don't want to confront those issues, and understandably so. It's hard. It brings up certain memories, certain things. But then I always ask people, it's like, would you rather have that sitting, what I say, the proverbial monkey on the back, or would you rather feel like light? Would you rather feel not free? Everyone's free. Would you rather feel liberated?
Yeah.
And that's what therapy helps to do.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's all therapy is to help someone liberate themselves from certain things that they perceive as issues.
Yeah, it's almost like it's I guess for people like me, like I just like I'm like I see instant results from therapy. Like I get in like almost instantaneously, not 100% like I'm cured, but like literally like after my first session, I'm just like, okay. But you know what too? It's like I've suffered from a lot of physical ailments. I've had like, I know everybody's gone through some shit, but I've gotten through some traumatic health issues, like almost dying and like, you know, dealing with, you know, certain diseases and stuff like that that's come across my way. And it's just, that's what I think helped triggered like my death anxiety. But I know that like the minute like I started taking care of myself physically, you find like instant instant like you start taking medicine when you're sick. So it's almost the same thing about therapy for me. Like when I start taking therapy, I get that same feeling where I'm like, okay, I'm starting to take my medicine. So now I'm starting to feel better because I'm literally like, you know, and then depending on how much medicine I need is how long I need to take therapy for. It's just the way I think of it, but it's how it works for me.
But it's true. A sound mind requires a sound body, and a sound body requires a sound mind. Yes, I did take that from Full Metal Alchemist, but it's true. It is true. Like, you know, when you take care of yourself physically, you will start to feel better mentally.
Yes.
And a lot of times when people start to take care of themselves mentally, something I always tell people, I say, go to the gym, go for a bike ride, go for a walk. It starts when you feel better mentally, people start taking care of themselves better physically.
Oh yeah.
It's hand in hand. It's like a good car with good tires. You don't want to have one without the other, typically. So
working out secretes serotonin in the brain, right? Stimulates
serotonin and dopamine.
Yeah.
Yes, it does release a good amount. It's also very good for people with any sort of addiction as well. Working out, or anyone who I say have issues with control. For addiction, the reason why is because you can't really get an addiction. At least in my personal opinion, you trade one for another. You trade an unhealthy one for a healthy one.
Right.
Anyone who typically, if somebody says they like to, maybe they self-harm, you know, and they, for some reason or another, they choose to self-harm for either control or to feel something. I said, if you want to feel pain, go to the gym, go do 50 burpees, or go work out with some crazy ass trainer. You'll be feeling pain for days.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you want to feel real pain?
Yeah. But the gym is great for that. If you have a lack of control, you control what you do in the gym. You choose what you want to do. Sometimes you may not really want to go, and you may go for like 15, 20 minutes, but you know what? 15 or 20 minutes of doing something you didn't want to do is better than you not anything at all. So it's just one of those healthy coping skills. Can there be an addiction to working out? Absolutely. You can be addicted to almost anything. But honestly, I would say to feel better about yourself. And it also helps you clear your mind. I use it as a form of meditation, honestly. As weird as that may sound to some people, I'm not really thinking about the weights. I'm not thinking about anything else. It's just literally what's on my mind, just clearing it out. Bike rides is my biggest thing. Just clearing my mind out, and it helps. And normally I come back feeling a lot better. I'm not saying it's the cure all for everything, but it does help. It really does. So
I agree with that 100%. It's seriously like something that just like it's just another thing that you can do that you really gets your mind in the direction that it needs to go, especially when you're dealing with anything. It just helps. It's just another activity that's positive that you can replace with whatever negative thing that you got going on.
Absolutely.
I listen a lot to Motivational Fearless on Spotify. For those days are like I'm feeling like really down. Yeah. And I really don't want to bother anybody. Call anybody to like, hey, I need a friend or something like that. I just put like motivational speeches. And it's like a friend telling me, you know, motivate yourself. You can do this. You got this. And without actually like telling anybody, but actually intaking that energy. And putting guided meditation YouTube videos while I fall asleep helps a lot to like wake up the next day like refreshed. So.
Absolutely. Those are really good. One thing I would say is if you have a very good support system, don't be afraid to give them a call from time to time. I know that's like one of the biggest things people think of. They say like, oh, you know, I don't want to bother someone. I don't want to be a bother. Or the biggest word, a burden on someone else. But you have to think of it this way. Like, I'm sure we've all had that friend who had to give us a call when they just weren't feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel like they were a burden? Like, no. It's like, no, what's going on? As soon as you get to talk to them, like, what's happening? Do you need me to come by? That's the importance of support systems. So, absolutely, hearing the motivational, speeches, the motivational music, it will definitely get you out of some really dark spots. But I would say if you have a good support system, family or friends, people that are real family and friends, don't hesitate to call them or shoot them a text and just like, hey, can you talk for a little bit? Just not feeling the best. And that's what people are there for.
100%.
Yeah, I would say just never be afraid to do that. And if somebody is like, oh, you're always calling or something like that, which is possible, which if you need to call that much, then once again, therapist. But if someone is actually like, oh, well, it seems like they're not supportive, then they're really just not a friend.
True.
Yeah. So I would say just don't be afraid to call out or reach out, because that calling to a friend, you may be in a serious crisis and you didn't reach out. It's a slippery slope. So I would say just don't hesitate.
I 100% agree with the friend thing, because I've had down moments not too long ago, and just having friends and family as a support, it's like instant, like it really does, and it's that, I guess, doing things on your own to like try to clear up your space and do positive things is great and all, but man, it just interaction with a buddy is like, it does helps. Wonders, yo. And and sometimes it's interaction with a buddy having nothing to do with your problems. Just be like, hey, can we go do that thing that's fun? Can we do that now? And then be like, yeah, let's go do the thing. And then before you know it, it's like I forget what I was, worried about.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, it's going to sound like an episode of Naruto, but there's nothing more powerful than friendship, It's like,
believe it.
It's going to help you become the next Hokage, the Hokage of depression.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, what are to you like the top 3 most common mental illnesses?
I would say from what I've experienced lately, it depends. Surprisingly enough, have you ever heard of something called like seasonal depression?
Yes.
So around certain periods in time, certain things tend to pop up. Right now, adjustment disorder is the biggest one, which that's kind of like an umbrella term for
post pandemic or pre-pandemic.
Pre-college.
Oh, okay.
Because a lot of my clients are going to college, getting out of college, entering into the adult world. That's actually a big one. I deal with like a lot of people who are also with divorce, so with children adjusting to the new way of life. I would say that's one of the more common ones that I experience. But I would say, moving that to the side, the top 3, I would say depression, anxiety, and substance. And which substance could encompass all of those things.
Yeah.
But I would say those are the top 3 in no specific order. Normally depression, anxiety, and substance. Because any one of those 3 could trigger the other. So
they all go hand in hand.
They triangulate off of one another.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say those are the top 3.
I was gonna ask you, so working where you work, have you experienced anything that you can talk about that's above and beyond extreme or out of the ordinary? If you can talk about any of that.
Yes,
Then run of the mill.
Without violence.
So when I first graduated, or I should say before I graduated, we have to do something called our practicum. So what you do is essentially you're an intern, but you're not paid at the time, because you can be what's called a registered mental health intern, which you can get paid. You're working. You have all the powers of a therapist with the exception of certain things, like you have to have a supervisor near you. You can't Baker Act. And for those who may be out of state, if they haven't heard of the term Baker Act, involuntary hospitalization. But during that time, I worked at a hospital. So I worked interning at a hospital. And it was for Baker Acts. And that was probably one of the more interesting I remember the very first day I started, people always say like, oh, like in mental health, like, oh, how do you know what to say? Which there's really nothing to say. Sometimes you just have to listen. And I learned that the first day I went in, I was with 2 supervisors, another intern who was more experienced than I. And there was this one girl, and she was talking, and she was Baker acted because she was, from what she claims, she was raped and she was beaten by her boyfriend. Now, the thing is, when I say claim, the reason why, because when someone's Baker acted, they could be experiencing psychosis, they could be schizophrenic.
Right, I was gonna say, because I'm like, that sounds like a crazy reason to be Baker acted.
Yeah, it
sounds like she should be, and you know.
Yeah, so I believe she maybe tried to commit suicide. I don't recall the exact reasoning why. But yeah, so she's talking, and I'm the only male there, which, by the way, in the mental health field, there's like a shortage of males, and I'm an African American male, so I'm like, oh, you know, so I'm there, and she's saying, you know, she was like, you know, I was beaten and raped, and she's crying. And the thing is, for me, you know about rape, you hear about it, you may have heard that something may have happened to someone of a friend or something, but I had never actually been in front of someone who was like, yeah, I was yesterday. And I don't know. And I'm like, what the fuck do I say to her? So I felt extremely uncomfortable. Like, what do I say? What do I do? I don't know. So everyone's talking. And then, you know, we take down her information before we move on to like the next person who's Baker acted. And I spoke to my supervisor and I said, I felt so uncomfortable. I didn't know what to say. I did not know what to do. And she said, that's one of the more difficult things. She said, but you have to remember one thing. She said, when people are Baker acted, at least when you're in, like, once you've been Baker acted, trust me, there's a reason why. There's always a reason why normally. Yeah. She said, think of it this way. There's nothing you can do. She said, I understand, like, you know, that's not something you would do. She said, and that's good. And you're here. She said, but you have to think outside of the box and think about it strategically. The fact that young woman was able to open up to you, a male, and talk about it means that there's hope. The fact that she's here in a hospital, she's safe. And she said, and remember, when you're dealing with mental health, at least on the more severe cases, she said, maybe, because you really don't know the full story. Right. That could have definitely happened. She said, or it could just be a symptom of what she felt like happened. Right. And I'm like, oh, okay. And she said, remember, you're just here to report. She said, you're not Superman, you're Clark Kent. Yeah. And that was one of the more surreal, because I'll never forget that. That was my first experience. Another experience that I had was one of the more sad experiences where I felt more seasoned. I was there for like 4 or 5 months. So I was talking with people. That's when I learned therapy is more of a conversation than just, how does it make you feel? There's a reason why we say, like, how does it make you feel? But from what I was taught, it's a conversation. People want to feel human, and you get more information out of people, especially in that particular setting. Right. There was an older gentleman. He was in the south wing of where I was at the hospital, which was for geriatric, so older individuals. And he was 99 or 100. And that's okay. Yeah. That's wild. He made it. But, he did. But he was Baker acted because he was found wandering around the streets. And, you know, so, and they were trying to contact next of kin. And, you know, where else would you put him? So, right. When I was talking with him, and I had one of my supervisors and the other intern as well, I said, you know, have you had any thoughts of suicide? And he said, yes. He said, I would prefer that you all could just put me down. And yikes. We're like, well, why? And he said, I'm 100 years old. He said, I've outlived my wife. He said, I've outlived my platoon from when I was in the war. He said, I even outlived my children. He said, what friends do I have? The family that I have, I don't really know them. He said, I'm a great-great-grandfather. He said, I think it's my time, and I think I have that right. So after we talked to him, and he was very, you know, depressed and sad, which luckily he did. He changed his attitude, and he made it to 101, actually. Damn. I talked to my supervisor again, and I said, you know, like I said, am I wrong for kind of agreeing? Like, if he says, like, hey, I've made my time, am I wrong for that? After so long, yeah. And she said, it's not that it's right or wrong. She said, what you're experiencing is what's called being human. Yeah. She said, that's human. She said, because if you put yourself in his position where he feels alone
He's
you've
tired.
outlived your children. Yeah, and just like she said, you're tired. And I had to learn that one. And then the craziest one, which I know which everyone is waiting to get to. So South Wing is geriatric. East Wing is for like people who are like borderline personality, depressed, anxiety,
Right.
which you can get some interesting ones. And then you have
You get fun ones in that section too.
you get some fun ones, but then where you really want to go was the West Wing. And I'm not
Okay.
talking about the show.
I was like,
So
no
when
Martin
people are
Sheen?
Baker acted, there's like 2 double doors that are like locked. And so, because you don't want people escaping, quote unquote, well, getting out. I'll put it that way, because
Wow.
sometimes people, when they're done being Baker acted, they go to jail. It depends.
Yeah.
So we watch.
Well, some people are there for violence. 'Cause
Yes, they are. If you, some people are paranoid schizophrenics, then yes, they are. They can be very violent. So that's where they're in the West Wing. So then there's another set of locked doors. So they're behind 3 sets of doors.
Nice.
So once in a while, I would go to the West Wing and I would run groups and stuff, which things were pretty good, pretty well. You know, you had some people yelling about things. One guy thought he was Lil Wayne, which was interesting.
Oh God.
that was an interesting one. But the funniest one was they had a woman who was Baker acted. They found her out in the Everglades. And so the cops couldn't go into the water because they have to do aquatic because there's snakes and Lord knows whatever else is out there now at this point. And she was in the water. So they grabbed her from the Everglades and they took her to the hospital. And she's there. And she was saying that she is the queen of lions.
She was in the water.
Even though she was with the alligators. But yes, she is the queen of lions. But that's not the kicker. So the kicker is that she liked to throw shit.
Oh.
Like
And I'm not talking-
literal.
Yeah, so she would throw shit. So
No.
this therapist, who was not being paid, chose not to go over there. Because I'm like, look, I mean, it would be a nice way to go home. Because if I get hit with shit, I'm literally going to be like, well, that's a wrap of my day. I'm like, I'm going home. And there's no one is going to stop me. So I'm going home. Like,
I
that's
got
just
fucking literal human shit on me.
Yeah.
Human shit.
I wouldn't get mad. I wouldn't scream. I'd just be like this. All right, well, I'm done. And go get in my car and just go home. And that would be about the extent of it. You know, the extent of it. So I'm talking to one of the nurses, and I don't remember what they were talking about. And, you know, you hear her screaming because a lot of people do things like people, they're normally up all night because they can't sleep or whatever. And all you hear is this.
Oh no.
I look to the left. There's brown on the window. I have become so accustomed to like anything. I looked and I said, so yeah, anyway. So what I plan on doing for Thanksgiving, and that was it.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So no, there's no shortage of things. I've had people say like the most racist, funny racist things. Like, yeah. One guy was like, yeah, you all look alike to me. And I was like, well, all you patients look alike to me. And he was like, oh, good point. And I'm like, yeah. One guy said, congratulations on making it out of the ghetto. And I said, oh, thanks. You know, it's just,
So good.
you get any.
Yeah,
thing.
and you got to take it exactly. You take it. Just you're like, this person's literally crazy. Like you can't.
Yeah, and once they get leveled out with their medication, the next time you see them, they're like, oh, hey, how you doing? And it's like, are you not the same person who told me to make it? Thanks for making it out of the ghetto. He was like, oh, yeah, no, that was Tom. Like, I'm fine.
Oh,
He's like, oh,
that was the other guy.
Which that's not how it works. Because we did have one person who had dissociative identity disorder. Which is very rare, like 1 in 14,000.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you how many of the. Remember, guys, this is Dopey the House podcast. This is like fucking like any intelligent questions that come from me. Have you ever dealt with any of the glamorous mental disorders before?
Oh, you mean like the really fun one where it's like, I've seen that on TV.
Okay, yes.
so-
I have one. I have one that I'm gonna ask because if you've heard of, but tell me one of them. And then I'll
So
tell you.
yeah, first off, it is not called a multiple personality disorder. It is called dissociative identity disorder, DID. It's extremely rare.
Yeah.
So we had one. It was not formally diagnosed, but it was kind of like, wow. So she would come into group. She would talk, and then you would see her kind of like wandering around the hallways of South and East Wing. And I was talking to her. I said, yes. I said, you did really well in group. And she was like, when was their group? And I said, we just had group 30, 40 minutes ago. She said, she said, I don't remember. And then from there, she would feel extremely like anxious because you have to remember that's losing an hour of time. She doesn't know what she said. She doesn't know what she did. And she said, sometimes I hear voices. And I was thinking to myself, well, it's possible psychosis. I said, well, normally whenever someone's experiencing psychosis or hearing voices, suicidal, they're normally commanding, like, do this, hurt yourself. But what she was hearing was supportive. So they were being supportive of her.
And she had good personalities.
So it was to hear voices that are telling you to support yourself. Once again, undiagnosed, but that was like more of a form of dissociative identity disorder, which was pretty interesting. And me and the other intern, we were like, yeah, we think she's disassociating.
Yeah.
And the doctor had his own opinion, which is not our job to overstep the doctor. But yeah, that was one of the more interesting ones. She was very nice, very, very nice. But you could tell she would just lose chunks of time here and there. You see her saying something or doing something, she'd be like, I have to go. And she'd like walk away. And then you would see her 20 minutes later, like, is everything okay? She's like, yeah, what happened?
It's another person.
Yeah. So,
wow.
But not like in a traditional sense of like, Split or anything like that, but the movies. That's
yeah, I was going to say, that's the first thing I thought of was like Split.
I follow, I have a TikTok, so I follow a couple people that has mental illnesses, but they actually like, they're aware of it, they get therapy, and they advocate. I follow a guy who has 7 different personalities, and he's married, and he switches like sometimes like on command, but there's times where like when he switches, it's like he switches without him like noticing it, and he switches from like a 3-year-old to like a man to like a girl, into different ones, but it's 7 of them.
Yeah, I unfortunately, and this is you also know you have a good clinician when they can say this. I do not have enough experience to be able to speak on that because I would not know. There are people who specialize in like dissociative identity disorder and like things like that.
It's like a whole other
level. And that's honestly, that is not my cup of tea. If he goes to a therapist and if they say that's what exactly is happening, or a psychiatrist, then I would have to say kudos to his wife for being able to handle 7 different people.
Yeah.
No shit,
I know
right?
my girlfriend can barely handle me as one person. So, but no, unfortunately, I would not be able to speak on that. Like I said, even when I saw that one, young woman, it was only just the disassociating and her being talking at one point in time and then her not recognizing. That's the only thing I was able to say. And I could have been completely off. But yeah, I can't speak on that. I'd have to see it, and then for something like that, you have to go to like a specialist. Yeah, because that's just completely out of my scope. So that would be interesting to see, interesting to observe. But yeah, I'm just like, very possible.
Yeah, he will like be like the girl, and he'll put like a crown or something like that, and then he will switch, and he will be like looking himself at the camera like, oh, I have a crown, like he didn't remember he put it on, type thing.
Yeah, I do know from what studies have been done, it's when there is a switch in one's personality, it's normally like not on cue. I would say typically, I could be completely wrong, so anybody on the podcast, please don't hold me to it. But I know it's typically like not on command or on demand, because I guess the worst part about disassociating is that you can't control it, because then if that's the case, if you could just switch, then I mean, what exactly would be the issue, if it's just
I feel like it's more like that one movie that you had me watch that was on Netflix with Allison Brie, Horse Girl. It's like currently it was a sci-fi movie, but it definitely touched on like sorts of like schizophrenia for sure. Like she thought that she was a clone or something like that, and it was like it was pretty heavy. It was a pretty good movie. It's more, I would say, with all the angles that it took in the movie, it is a sci-fi movie. But if you're like just watching it, you're like, oh, this is definitely mental health. Like this bitch is crazy. Like she is out of control.
Yeah. Now,
and it wasn't. It was the way that they did it was almost like her schizo attacks were like very like again, it wasn't like an on cue, like how they showed in some movies where it's like, hey, just wearing like different hats and shit.
Because normally it takes, I wouldn't say like it's 100% on cue. You see it's like a slow build up, especially with certain things, and then kind of like a slow come down. Because which is like one of the misconceptions, like with schizophrenia, like most mental health, people think like the journal thing, somebody's quote unquote crazy. They think they're always crazy, but it's like no, they have moments of clarity. You'd be very surprised, even like when you see people who maybe like talking to themselves and things like that. Remember, certain things will override whatever they're experiencing. Pain is one. Fear is another one. The fight or flight. Certain things just can't really be like overridden. As somebody once told me, if you see someone who's like talking to themselves and they're like screaming or whatever like that, and if you put, let's say, a tiger in front of them that's like snarling and getting ready to try to attack them, you all of a sudden see them go, ugh. Certain things kind of snap you out of it. Yeah. And that's why like a lot of times with people like schizophrenic, you'll see like sometimes self-harm. Sometimes, because it'll help. It's not the best way, but to ground themselves.
They take such
the body automatically locks on the pain, which to circle back, that's why I was like, what do you feel in your feet? What do you feel in your legs? What do you feel in your stomach? Because those sensations don't really go away in a sense. So for them, they're grounding it through like the most acute way possible. Right. While for you, like say, or anyone here who's having like a panic or anxiety attack, when you still have some locus of control, you can focus on that to kind of bring yourself down. Yeah.
So I'm gonna switch it up a bit. This is more like a syndrome that I found on. I found out about. So let's see here. All right, let's click this on.
Meet Stitch Fix. Here's how to look good.
Yeah, shut up. There we go.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored by these people. Yep.
Don't let the queen's tongue fool you.
Well, they always are asking me, how my mom got that accent.
Lisa Alamia.
Oh, not from me. I'm sorry.
Is 100% Texan.
People who don't know me, hey, where are you from? I'm from Rosenberg. Oh, where's that? I'm like, we're here in Rosenberg. Oh, you're from here. How did you talk like that? So that's when the whole story comes up.
6 months ago, jaw surgery to fix an overbite. Changed to.
I thought she was playing around with me. I thought she was joking with me, but then she showed me that like the doctor had told her she was diagnosed for an accident, and she searched it, and then I was like, oh.
Houston Methodist Sugar Land Hospital says in the last 100 years, less than 100 people worldwide get this rare disorder known as foreign accent syndrome.
Mom is probably the one word I noticed right away. Kitten. They think I'm talking about a baby cat, and I'm not. I'm saying I'm just kidding. But it's kitten. I'm just kidding.
Lisa's neurologist, Dr. Toby Alto, put her through a battery of tests trying to answer the hows and whys, but they can't. So for months, Lisa stayed quiet, worried about skeptics.
I didn't know the reaction I was going to get from people. So I didn't know, are they going to judge me? Are they going to think I'm lying? Are they going to even understand how I'm speaking?
Thanks to some ribbing from her family and friends, Lisa is now more open than ever, even though her voice no longer intimidates her children.
There is no way you sound hood at all. Like, he goes, even if you tried, you wouldn't be able to sound it. My daughter laughs at the way I say tamales. So I used to be able to say it like a real Hispanic girl, now I cannot.
One day, she hopes to regain her voice. Until then, she's learning to savor her accent.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of that?
I have heard of it, actually.
Is it real?
I never thought I had an accent, but everyone else told me I did. So
Is it common? Because I heard so many stories of it, but I don't know if it's that common.
Once again, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, I'm not.
So that's what I was going to ask. Like, do you think it falls in the realm of like, or do you think it's actually like,
it's one of
something about the brain.
It's one of two things. Either there is some part of the brain we have yet to discover that could be that. That's how I am. Or she's attention seeking. It's one of the two. What? I will not say either one, but
isn't that the most racist syndrome you've ever found in your imagine like a lady living in like fucking Louisiana. And all of a sudden, she's just like, she goes from like, I'm going to strip ball tonight. And all of a sudden, she's like, hello, my name is Betsy. I like the fork my wines. And you're just like, isn't that like, whoa, what the fuck did that come from? And they're like,
yeah,
no,
that's
it's
what
okay.
I'm like, what the fuck is happening?
This racist ass disorder. I was like, how the fuck do you learn how to speak in an accent? You know what I mean? Like,
I'll put it this way. I'll play devil's advocate for a little bit.
Do
you
it.
know, like when like you dream, right? And like
Right.
you may dream. Sometimes you may speak like another language or something like that, and you may say a word, or maybe you heard a word. I do not know, and then you'll say a word, and they're like, oh yeah, that's actually a word. It is. I will say this. It is possible, and I'll leave it at that.
okay.
I would say.
I just wanted to know what you
possible?
thought.
Once, I cannot stress this enough. That's not my area of expertise. I
will humbly.
On a personal, not a professional level, I'd be like, what? Like, okay, I do not know.
It's very suspect.
I've seen it from people that are getting surgeries and from people that have received like hit trauma.
Yeah, and there have been other cases where people have reported it and stuff like that. And I just say this: power to you.
It's a hilarious disorder.
It goes away like over time.
Yeah, I know for a fact. Of course, if
it's
something
like
happened,
mom, who's that Spanish mom right there? Because she's like, "Can you do a Spanish accent now, mom? Can you please?" Like, because she was talking like this. She's just like, "Oh my god!"
And I'm just looking. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know.
Makes you wonder. She does have a lot of kids.
Who knows?
Who knows? All right. So, Lola, do you have any more questions for Will before I turn it over to an interesting part of the show?
No, go ahead.
Okay, here we go. So, if you guys know, I am a fucking diehard fan of this teen drama show, Degrassi, Canadian television's finest work. And in this show, it is so good. I've talked about this like so many episodes. It was bound for me to continue to talk about it. So right here, Will, I have a yearbook picture, if you will, of a lot of the cast members of Degrassi: The New Generation.
Oh, no wheelchair Jimmy?
Jimmy? Oh yeah, Jimmy's there. Let me see. How can Jimmy not be there?
Because I want to be like this, man. Look here.
Oh, there's Jimmy.
I want to be like
Brooks.
this, buddy. You have no idea what's in store for you,
Jimmy Brooks. So what I wanted to do was I was going to click on certain character bios, and because when I first met you, it was awesome because we were at dinner and you start telling people what you think is wrong. he automatically like called out one of the people that we were with on what you believed that they had going on mentally. And I was so happy because they were like, you were spot on. Like he like called them out like perfectly, and they were like, yep, that's what I have. And I'm like, and I was so excited. I wanted to do me next. I was just like, me next, please. So you have not seen the show.
No.
So that works in a benefit. And I know these fucking kids like they're my fucking friends. So I'm going to click on random people. We will start with Jimmy Brooks because you brought him up. And I'm going to read their bio real quick. And then I want you to, based off their minor bio that I'll read out and the picture, you can tell me what you think is wrong with this character. Or what arc, if they will. And I'll tell you if it's an arc that actually happens on the show. Because they go through every fucking possible thing you could think of on this show. Everything. Nothing is off limits.
Shit, the only thing I have to do is worry about like facial blemishes. What the fuck did these kids go through?
No, not in fucking Degrassi. Nope, them Canadians don't know how to fucking live like properly. All right, here we go. So we got Jimmy Brooks, handsome cat. I wonder what he grows up to be. He's a class of 2007 graduate of Degrassi Community School. He has been as the school. He was seen as a school basketball star during his time in Degrassi. He also comes from a wealthy family. He has shown many high-end gifts. Despite this, Jimmy is one of the more open-minded, humble students of Degrassi. He had a habit of being unusually antagonistic towards Sean Cameron until season 3. Jimmy was left bitter on the edge when the infamous school shooting that we all know about left him crippled from the waist down. He is engaged to his best friend Trina and his longtime best friend Spinner Mason, despite all their differences. He is best friends with Spinner Mason despite all their differences. He's also best friends with Marco De Rossi and Craig Manning. He also is good friends with Paige, Michael Chuck, Ellie Nash, and Terry McGregor. And he was portrayed by, Drake. Aubrey Graham. People don't know his real name is Aubrey. Fucking Aubrey.
Over here gets rich. He gets rich off.
So for the most part, they told you a good amount of stuff that happened. But from this bio, what do you think he's got going on mentally?
Well, in the show, did he ever go to therapy? Not physical therapy, I'd assume, but like
he definitely went to physical therapy. Did he ever go to therapy for his shooting? No, he did not.
I wonder if he suffered from any PTSD. That's an experience, man. You got you got shot, and then you're left crippled. That's kind of
Okay, do you want me to tell you what I think that he did to maybe help his PTSD without him knowing?
Did he become rich? He becomes by the name Drake.
He's been rich. He came from rich upbringing.
Oh shit! He didn't start from the bottom. Fuck.
Nope. He never even fucking Aubrey never started from the bottom. It's parallels to his character. Crazy. No. So what Jimmy did end up doing is he got into art.
Okay.
And he started drawing. One episode one of the friends is flipping through his book, and one of them was like a gun, and somebody had I'm like, oh, look at your shooter.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, or was it Sean Cameron, the one who's antagonistic towards?
No, actually, no. Sean Cameron. Let's go to Sean Cameron. Let's go clip right to him because he's another fun kid that's been through some shit. Sean Cameron's a fun character. I like Sean.
Oh boy.
Oh hell yeah.
Looks like an Animorph. Look at that.
Oh yeah. Did you see an Animorph?
Yeah.
Remember Animorphs?
Tobias. Yeah.
Do you remember Animorphs?
Remember the person transformed into the Hawk? Stayed for too long.
Remember those books? They had the
come on! You used to flip through the book. You see the person transform into like a giraffe.
Yeah, the book had a hologram.
Something.
Oh, okay.
And it was the people turned into animals. Anyway, off topic, but still, Sean Cameron, born in 1988 in Wasaga Beach, Canada, is a former student of Degrassi Community School. He moved to Toronto while he was in grade 10 to keep out of trouble after he deafened Tyler Bishop in one ear. During his Degrassi years, Sean was defined as cold and one of the bad boys, but was a nice guy who made a few mistakes from time to time. After his freshman year, Sean made it his goal to become a more responsible person, specifically when he emancipates himself from his brother. By the way, emancipation in Degrassi is very common. I think they just use it as
Jesus Christ.
They use it as a plot point. Like every
it's not even
series has an I think it just gives the writers an excuse.
Every kid gets emancipated.
No, but like it gives them an excuse to I guess have kids go do stuff somewhere without parents. You know what I mean? They'll be like, "Well, hanging out at Sean's." It's like, how did all this crazy shit happen? It's like, well, they were at Sean's, and Sean doesn't have parents, and he lives by himself at fucking 16. You know what I mean? So he emancipates himself from his brother, and he became a school hero after saving Emma Nelson's life. Although he never finished high school, actually, technically, okay, for future, he killed the kid who shot Drake.
Oh, Jesus. Wow.
Shot Jimmy.
Okay.
Oh.
When he was saving Emma, he wrestled the kid, and the gun shot the shooter. Yeah. So yeah. Although he never finished high school, Sean left Degrassi to join the army. His best friends with Jay Hogarth and Craig Manning, and friends with Alex Nunez, Toby Isaacs, Manny Santos, his ex-girlfriend Emma Nelson, and J.T. York before his death. He was bitter rivals with Jimmy Brooks and Peter Stone. He was portrayed by Daniel Clark. Anyway.
Boy, he is written with guilt, isn't he? He's always trying to throw himself in the limelight, trying to right the wrongs. Yeah, let's see. He deafened Tyler Brooks. Was that on purpose or accident?
On purpose. He was mad. And they were young. He did it when he was 12 or 13. He was really young.
Oh, okay. So I would say that if he was living with his brother and he did that because I assume a bit of a bully kind of come off in that way, almost maybe, or
him, yeah. Yes, but he came at a disadvantage because he was held back. So he couldn't be a bully because it's like I should be with these guys, but here I am with like all you dorks.
But he was living with he got emancipated from his brother, right?
So he was living with his brother at first.
So
he wasn't living with his parents.
So we know something happened with his parents, right?
Yes.
And yeah, for him to be what they normally say for someone to be a bully, like, you know, something's happened. So there must be some sort of trauma in the past, for sure. Because for him he deafened someone, I guarantee you that wasn't, well, he may have done it on purpose. Then he got ridden with guilt. And then that's why
he
became a good boy after.
No, he always sucks. He was one of those characters that like you want to root for, but he always fucks up. Like always. Every time he tried to do something right, it was always takes like one step forward, 2 steps back. I'm like,
so self-sabotaging.
Always self-sabotaging.
So, yeah, he's because of the guilt. If I were to like just to jump off and be like super clinician, then I would say he's
and no, he didn't seek therapy. Everybody I'm clicking on didn't seek that. Nobody seeks therapy in this.
Why not? In high schoolers don't need therapy, right?
Yeah, exactly.
No, so definitely there's something going on with his family. Did they ever talk about his family, like mom and dad?
He ends up visiting them and goes away for like several seasons because he ends up living back with them.
So something happened for why he had to go live with his brother.
Right. I don't remember. I remember it being very negative on why he didn't want to be with his folks. They looked like the way that the actors were portrayed looked like they were like kind of losers and stuff. Because basically they reached out to him. Oh no, they were interviewed the week or the couple days after he killed that kid because he was considered a hero for doing it.
So let's see.
What the hell?
So
yeah, because he stopped the shooter. He stopped the active shooter.
So he deafened one kid, and then whether you're a quote unquote.
But in this, keep in mind, this is probably like 3 or 4 years later.
Oh yeah.
So he's already got in trouble for the year. He got held back for deafening that kid, and like you move on.
And then you killed someone.
And then he killed somebody.
Yeah, you killed someone.
He absolutely was fucked from that.
It's had like 20 steps back.
So I wonder, like, did he join the army to actually find a sense of purpose and to give himself structure, or was it to maybe did he do it just so if something does happen to him, it's like he deserves it?
No, the beginning part, because I know before he was going, he was freaking the fuck out that he was doing it. Like he's like, I don't want to die. I'm so scared. I'm like, you're in Canada. Calm down. You're gonna be fine.
With the school shooter. With a school shooter, which he stopped.
Yeah.
But I would say, I don't know, maybe some form of abuse. Most likely there, or not necessarily. It doesn't always have to be physical. Maybe emotional, which is why he's so cold and distant. He doesn't want to let people in.
Yes.
He definitely can't maintain any relationships.
No.
Because he self-sabotages.
Yes, he does not end up with Emma, unfortunately. Even though they build up their relationship from like season 1, and they go back to it like in season 4 or 5, and they show the picture from season 1, and I'm like, you guys should have been together. It's adorable. Anyway, so I'm gonna move on real quick because I want to hit up a couple more. Should I hit up a girl? Yeah, let's do Alex Nunes, because she was one of these bad girl characters, and I think the bad characters are the bad ones because they get redemption arcs and they end up being like the best. But she actually fizzles out, unfortunately, like terribly, and I feel bad about her.
That's Nunez.
Nunez, yes. What?
You were saying Nunez.
Nunez. I'm sorry. Say it again.
Alex Nunez.
Nunez.
There you go.
Sorry, I didn't say it with an accent.
Gosh, get some fucking culture, man.
Okay, she was born in 1988 in Toronto, Canada. Is rebellious Latina woman. Oh, that's why. Okay, who started in Degrassi Community School in Toronto. She was a graduate in 2006 and moved to Ajax in 2007. She was originally known as a bad girl and once had been a stripper at a bar in order to make ends meet, but the years went by. She began to make better decisions. She's good friends with Jay Hogarth, Marco Del Rossi, Ellie Nash, and Sean Cameron. She was enemies with Emma Nelson and her former best friend, Amy Peters Hoffman. Alex was portrayed by whatever. It doesn't matter who she portrayed. But anyway, yes. So they don't really get into. I'm glad they don't tell us too much about her. Okay, go ahead.
First off, what the hell's wrong with this fucking Wikipedia? Why did they feel the need to say a rebellious Latino woman? Are they going to say an upstanding African American or an upstanding black man? Like, what the fuck was the point of that? But
I bet you they adjusted it because, you know.
Okay, so first and foremost, when exactly did she strip? Was she an adult or?
Yeah, I was wondering, is this show? I thought this show was like for high school kids. This is like college.
This was when she first, when she was starting to go to college. Okay, good. Keep on. I don't want to. I want him to diagnose real quick before I start giving her whole thing.
Because I'm like, how the hell?
Yeah, she was. The answer is yes. It was like I think like first year in college. She was not in high school yet.
Okay, so she was 18, quote unquote, at the time when she started stripping.
They didn't touch on it in the show.
Okie dokie.
And she could have been. I think it was all in the up and up.
All right. So let's see. She was originally known as the bad girl. Once been a stripper at a bar to make ends meet. She began to.
I find it funny that even go straight to her being a stripper because it was like literally like an episode or two.
Yeah, but it's. I mean,
she wasn't a fan of it. She did it.
So what do they mean?
She was having some financial issues.
Yes.
So what do they mean by like rebellious? Like what? She just wasn't going to class. Like what are you talking?
She was just she hung out with really shitty kids. She was always hanging around the shitty, like the kid they look like stoners, but they never portrayed them as stoners. But she hung out with the bad kids.
Maybe for attention. Maybe I could possibly say. They
don't give you enough information.
Yeah, they don't. Like I said, the only thing I can honestly focus on is just who the fuck wrote the first paragraph of rebellious Latino woman.
So,
but because I mean, it's like,
and you know what kills me? They don't even show when they talk about her friends. They don't even talk about her main friend, who she kind of had a thing with, which was Paige Michael Chuck. She was her girlfriend for some time, this other girl, and they had like a lesbian thing going on. It was great because it was during it's so awesome. Oh my god,
they had
I loved it.
It was amazing.
No, because it was during the Kevin Smith episodes, because Kevin Smith is on the show playing himself.
Oh, dope.
Yes. And he goes to Degrassi to specifically make a movie called Jay and Silent Bob Do Canada A.
Kevin Smith is a god amongst gods.
And I literally have the movie about it. It's like right there. It's Jay and Silent Bob Do Degrassi. And it's so funny because in that episode is when Paige and Alex pretty much like figure out they like each other. And Paige is like, I'm not gay though, which is fine because she, for the most part, that was like her only like girl interaction with Alex. And so they have a thing and they went out for some time and they were doing things together. And this is the thing is that Paige is a rich girl, snobby, and then Alex is the bad dirt, girl.
She's the rebellious Latina.
So her mom goes out with dirtbags.
Oh, okay.
And her mom ended up losing the rent for the house, causing her to be homeless because her dirtbag boyfriend did a bunch of shit and stole her mom's money. So her mom was stressing and then getting into being into negative stuff. So she ends up being a stripper to make money, to find out that she just ended up going back with the boyfriend.
That tends to happen.
Yeah, so Alex ends up being like, I fucking was a stripper and I had to deal with that shit and be because her mom was like, that's great, what are you doing? And she's just like, I work at this place.
Well, that would be the one thing.
She didn't tell her mom what she did. And then when she gives her mom all this money, she blows it all because she blows it all for the boyfriend.
Well, that would be the one thing that I would tell her. She's like, I went to be a stripper to do this for you. It's like, no, it's like, that was a choice. It's like you chose to do it because that was for her, maybe for her decision. That was like the ear.
Oh no, like it was like for like a day or two, and then she totally quit because it was like she worked at a skeezy club.
Then, yeah, not even.
She definitely did it out of desperation because that's her character was like, this is all I know that I can do right now because everyone thinks I suck.
Yeah, and you know what's funny enough is like I've known people who've done it. Like when I was in college, there was this one girl who was in the optometry program, and she used to strip at what was Eden's. Yeah.
Oh God, Eden.
But she made her money, and when she was done, she paid for her school, and then she left, and then that was it. Yeah. Honestly, I really can't read too much. Like I can only take a really wild.
Oh, they didn't
stab.
fucking do anything. Yeah, they didn't give you enough.
Yeah,
right, I'll do one more. I'll do like the main. Like she's not the main character, but she's like one of the main characters. Her character is birthed from two characters that were in the older series that was like yeah, because there's Degrassi High, and it started with Degrassi Junior High. Then Degrassi High. This is all in the 80s. And then the Degrassi High ended in like early 90s. And then the show took like a 10-year hiatus and didn't come back until 2001. When I started watching the show, when these fucking kids were on it. And, fell in love. I'm fucking like 18, 19 years old watching it with my other teenage brother. And we're watching this like teen drama like crack. We're like, there's like a marathon. And we're just like, this show is amazing. Because we're talking shit about all the characters. They be doing shit. I'm just like, it doesn't like, the show doesn't talk down to kids. You know what I mean? Like, it just basically treats everything. Like, it'll end on bummers. Like, it'll end like, you know, like, so-and-so never made it out alive. The end. And the next episode happens. It's like, you think they're going to continue to talk about so-and-so? It's like, yeah.
No, they're dead.
No, they're dead. They're moving on.
What are talking about?
And then they will bring it up. Be like, yeah, so-and-so died. And yeah, like, oh, did you believe that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Well. You know, like,
so did you study for the test?
Yeah, they don't hit, because you know like how some shows really focus on drama and they just like hone in on it. You're good. and it doesn't hone in on it. It's just like, I don't know. But anyway, this is the main, we'll end it on the main girl character, Emma Nelson. And because I got a lot of shit to talk about her. So she was a goody two shoes.
You said I got shit to talk about.
Her first episode, I'll say it right now if they don't say it. I'm just going to say it anyway. Her first episode was an abduction episode.
She was abducted?
The very first episode of Degrassi, The New Generation, was her online chatting. And that's another thing too. You know how like when shows use computers and stuff, like it's always like that fake like database and
Yeah.
This show uses computers so realistically. Like so realistically where I'm like, no, that's a real email. Like that's exactly how computers work. Like when they had computer class, because her dad is, well, it's not really her dad, it's her stepdad. But anyway, her stepdad was on the show as the teacher. So one of the characters from Degrassi High became a teacher, and he teaches all the kids now. And they teach him about Photoshop later seasons, and I'm just like, oh, these are all real things. Anyway, so she was online talking to this kid who was really an adult, and she ends up going to this hotel, getting locked in the hotel room. Oh, no. The kids end up saving her. Like calling
the kids saved her, not the
kids
cops?
Figured out that she wasn't where she said she was, and one of the kids is like, her shit got hacked. It's so easy. Like the reason why this kid knows so much about her, like because she was like, oh, so and so dreamy. It's like the reason why he knows so much about you because he hacks into your computer and looks at previous email conversations. Does it? He's like, I figured out your password. It wasn't hard for anybody else to figure it out. So, and so when they figured that out, they're like, she's not safe right now. And they go get the parents, and the parents go find the hotel, and they save her from fucking getting fucked up. Yeah. All right. So we'll read the last character, Emma Nelson.
Does she look like an Emma? Yep.
Oh, she had, and by the way, she experiences ugly duckling syndrome like crazy. Because when she's a kid, her teeth are like this. Her teeth are all fucking fucked up, and her hair looks like shit. She looks like garbage in the first couple of seasons, and then all of a sudden she has a fucking glow up, and I'm like, Emma got fucking different. And then she like whores it up, and it's great, and I love it. Anyway, so Emma Nelson is a class of 2007 graduate of Degrassi Community School in Toronto, Canada, who also attended Smithsdale University along with Manny and Liberty. She is the lead character and the main protagonist of Degrassi: The Next Generation, both during season 2 of Degrassi season high. Oh yeah, because her character, because her mom gave birth to her during Degrassi Junior High.
This is the most wild high school shit ever.
Yeah, her mom is a teen mom, so her mom had birth with Emma, and then they made Emma a main character on the New Generation.
Dude, during high school, like the most exciting shit that ever happened is somebody would give me like $1 and I can get like a big text. It's like, what the fuck are these kids experiencing? Like, what the hell?
So yeah, so her mom had her young. She was originally portrayed as an idealist and an environmentalist who consistently voices her own opinions. It was so unbearable, fucking annoying. Emma was also known for being responsible and mature, yet uptight. But over the years had developed into much more of a three-dimensional character. Yeah, for the most part, I guess so. And then Emma is the daughter of Christine Nelson and Shane McKay, a longtime best friend of Manny Santos. She is also best friends with Liberty Van Zandt and her husband Spinner Mason. She is also close to friends with James Tiberius York before his death and Toby Isaacs. Additional friends of hers include Darcy Edwards, Shantae Black, Jay Hogarth, Holly J. Sinclair, Craig Manning, her ex-boyfriend Sean Cameron. She's enemies with Alex Nunez. Her stepfather is Archie. It's funny because her and Alex aren't. Yeah, but her and Alex weren't that big of enemies, so I don't know why they did that. Her stepfather is Archie Simpson, the principal of former media immersion teacher and Degrassi Community School, and her half-brother is Jack Simpson. She married Spinner Mason, a former student of Degrassi, in the summer of 2008, making Kendra Mason her sister-in-law. She was portrayed by Miriam McDonald, and yeah, whatever. That's it. I'll tell you the characters. But yeah, that's Emma Nelson. She's done some shit. Oh, can I say which? I can tell you a disorder she had.
Go ahead. Oh, really?
Bad.
Well, I guess that kind of goes along with the whole.
She seems
like she's trying to be like a perfectionist.
Yes.
Certain things. Yeah, like I said, the first paragraphs they don't really tell too.
Yeah, they don't
much.
tell you too much.
But if I were to like look at picture and from what you told me, I would say.
And this show does
very naive.
Absolutely naive.
Very naive. That's why it's funny that they say, known for being responsible, mature, and that's why I'm like, really?
Know it all. Fuck that. She was a
I'm sorry, like during 2007, technology wasn't that bad. We had Mass Effect and everything. It wasn't. I mean, we knew what was happening. You know what I'm saying? So, they also had that guy. Catch a Predator. It was out.
Yep.
So it's like, come on, sweetie. Even during the 90s, like you knew.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Let's see. Daughter, friends with all those people. I would say this. She likes to definitely keep it. Does she have issues with letting go of high school?
No. She
I couldn't tell.
Got hold of it.
The only reason why is because, she
moved right on.
Okay, the only reason why I ask is because, it
was always about the next step for her.
Oh.
She was like an overachiever.
But if it's always about the next step, why the hell are you like standing around all the people from high school and marrying people?
Oh, that's just a show being a show. I think that's the show being a show.
I see. Okay.
So in my opinion, the real Emma Nelson would exactly do what you're saying. She may stay friends with a couple of people,
but she would move on completely. She probably 100%. Would go. She may not even stay in Canada. She probably would go like America or something like that.
Yeah.
And I would also say this from what you told me. Well, first off, when they discovered her, did anything happen when she was abducted?
Nothing.
All right.
She just locked herself in the bathroom.
Oh, all right, smart girl, at least in that part. Well, but
she did like a whole tuck and roll. It was funny. Like the guy was sat on the bed with her. She's like, this kid's not coming, is he? And you're not his teacher.
And he's like, what gave you that bright idea?
and then she did like a whole back roll, and she ran into the bathroom. And I'm like, yeah, lock the door.
Shit! She pulled a Peter Parker from No Way Home. So yeah, I would say that's definitely traumatic. The fact that you were like nearly possibly raped and killed, and he may have tried to eat your body. That's pretty up there.
Believe it or not, the worst thing I think she was probably pissed off is the fact that they took her computer away from her and put it in the living room.
It's like, that's the worst thing you could think of? Yeah. I mean, not the fact that this creepy guy wanted to like wear your skin and like try to do something with you.
Because the way she thinks of it, because she's fucked up, she was probably like, I was tricked.
Bitch, you were not tricked.
You stupid bitch.
You chose to go on the computer.
Yeah.
Like I said, we have Mass Effect technology. You chose to talk to this creepy old guy. You had other people saying, like, hey, man, this person hacked your stuff. She's like, no. So you know what? She's a fucking know-it-all.
Yes.
She is a know-it-all. 100%. She is a know-it-all.
I don't like her as a character, even though she's like the main character at all. And she does so many fucked up things. She gives out blowjobs near the ravine. Just saying.
So she's this goody two-shoe who likes to...
No, there's an episode where they talk. They said that she literally go to get a bracelet. Because they give out bracelets.
I remember that back in high school. Yeah, they do that. Yeah,
you get the special bracelet. It's like,
yeah.
oh, I'll give you a bracelet. It's like, how do you get a bracelet? Well, you get this bracelet.
Well, Jesus Christ, what the hell could I get with a Snickers bar? It's like, like, what the hell is going on? And Mom, why is she beefing with the Hispanic girl? Like, what?
Oh, because she was going out with that guy.
Who's going out? Wait, so the Hispanic one?
Oh, no, wait, hold on. Yes, it was that guy. It was Jay. Alex was going out with Jay, and Jay was getting blowjobs from girls in the ravine, and fucking dumbass Emma, who had got nothing going on, she's like, I'm gonna do something different. And she fucking wanders off, and she's like, I'm gonna get a bracelet. This is during her glow up, so she's like feeling herself now. She got her teeth all fixed, and she's like, I got long hair now. And then now, so yes, and then they noticed that, like, Alex noticed that one of her friends, oh no, this is how, because she got hurt, because Jay
in the mouth, herpes in the mouth, no,
that's why. No. She's like, what do they call it? I have a social disease or something like that.
A social disease.
What is it called? They called it some stupid fucking word. It was just so.
So they wouldn't just call it herpes in the show?
No, they did. No, they called it herpes. But she said when she told her parents, her mom, that.
She said she got a social disease?
Like a social,
like sweetie, social disease is called mononucleosis. Like, no, man, you got herpes. You were doing something. you got herpes.
Anyway, I can fucking talk about this show for fucking ever. But,
I'm still tripping at the fact she's beefing with the rebellious Latina.
Well, yeah, the rebellious Latina woman's like, you sucked my boyfriend's dick.
But here's the funny thing. The rebellious Latina didn't do anything bad or disgusting. As far as we know, she went to go strip and she was 18.
No, if anything, she had the worst fadeaway arc. Is literally when her and the other the snooty girl Paige, they broke up, and she's like, yeah, we can't, like, I can't hang out with you because you're kind of like an underachiever and you really ain't got nothing going on, and I'm sorry, and it's been fun, but she's like, I'm moving on, and like, but I always like you, you're the only girl I ever liked, but you're the only person I ever liked. And then she just ends up fading away, and I'm just like, oh,
so
what happened to Alex?
So after she became a stripper, she just like what?
No, she did. She went back to do more high school, which is a thing I guess Canada does.
You can't just get your associates and just.
No, she did like more high school. I don't know.
I assume
Canada's weird.
Hopefully, she went to college.
No, that's what she was working on. She was working. She was working on to better herself, and she did sports, and she did like.
Oh, she's fine.
She ended up doing that shit like later on. Like she would make fun of all the people who would be like on lacrosse. And then eventually she joined lacrosse,
Yeah, sweetheart, that should take it out. You don't have football like black people, so it's like you gotta do some lacrosse.
Fuck someone up in lacrosse.
Hey, at the end of the day, she didn't get herpes.
No, she didn't. She was lucky. She was lucky. Yeah.
Smart, She said you can look but don't touch. The other one was like, you can touch, and
she did it all. What an idiot.
And somehow she's
dumbass Emma.
Somehow she's the main. So hold up. So she's the main character of the show, right?
She's not though. I don't think anybody's the main character.
So
she has the most episodes that involve her.
So what type of message are they sending with Degrassi? Like, hey guys, if you suck a little bit of dick and get a little bit of herpes, life is all. It's like no, that's not a good thing.
I implore everybody who fucking listens to this podcast. It's on YouTube for free. Watch Degrassi: The Next Generation. If you don't get hooked by the first 2 episodes, then I don't know what to tell you. But every character, and they do things so minor in that show. Like, there'll be a gay character in there, and I'm like, that character's gay. but they don't make it a thing. They don't talk about them being gay. They don't talk about anything else. They don't say anything. Like it was like they'll say something like snooty, like they'll be hanging out and like one guy would be like, "Oh, you probably would like that, wouldn't you?" You know, like, but I'm like, but they don't make it obvious that he's gay. Well, they don't even talk about it. That character doesn't get a fucking episode about them being gay or coming out until like 2 seasons later, and I'm like, that's brilliant.
What was this? 2007, 10 around this area for all of this? What was it?
No, 2001 is 2000. Well, they graduated in 2007, so like probably 2003.
So the show was being filmed around like what 2002, 3, give or take. Yeah. Well, all right. So I know probably with that, you know, it's more so recently where like everyone's more open and talking about it like it's a natural thing to talk about, you know, homosexuality, whatever it may be. So for that, that's probably like the most that they can do, you know, at that.
No, but I'm not even necessarily talking about them subtly doing it. I'm talking about how smart they do it. Like they're like they don't rush to give that character, like in most shows that they would. If you have a gay character, they're like, we got to establish that character's gay and let everybody know right now that that's what this deal with this character. Another example, they have her half brother or step brother or whatever. They end up freaking putting this kid that ends up like when they have like every year that they graduate, they introduce a new set of freshmen. So you have to like keep track of more and more characters, as you saw from that fucking roster that I scrolled.
Yeah, that roster is humongous. Yeah. I'm like, what?
So they have this one character that is her like stepbrother or whatever that lives in her house when she's in college, and it's so funny because that kid like was acting weird. Like every episode, he would like the kids would be in the media center, and then like he wants to sit next to his friend, and they're all like dorks. And he's just like, I want to sit there. And they're like, but I was already sitting here. But he's like, but that's my seat. And I'm just like.
Was he on the spectrum?
Immediately.
Oh, okay.
And I didn't think about it. But then then another episode happens where they go to a dance. And again, they don't say anything about it. And then I'm noticing, like, he likes this girl. And then I'm like, me and my buddy are watching it. And I'm just like, why is that motherfucker at the dance and he's still wearing the same clothes that he wears every day? And I'm like, in high school, you're like, all of them are dressed up like it's the dance, and this kid's still in his fucking like his jacket and shit. And I'm just like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? And then eventually, like 7 episodes later, it's like he's on the spectrum, and I'm like, oh, it makes all sense now. All those little hints that they don't give you a whole episode for is sprinkled throughout the show, and you would only like notice it if you watch like the whole thing, which is great. And I like shows that do that because usually
good pacing.
But those shows like I don't know, like Full House or like I'm trying to think of other like teen shows that are like corny or like.
Oh, dude, I was never a teen show person at all.
They would hit up like if a character had a thing going on, it'd happen, or Saved by the Bell, it would happen, and they talk all about it, and then that's it, and then nothing ever again. You know what I mean? Like they talk about it, beginning, middle, end. That's it. Done.
But Full House didn't have like a storyline.
No.
This show has a storyline, so they're not gonna waste like the whole story in one episode. That's why they drag it out.
Anyway, I think that's enough. No more Degrassi talk, as I will go in like a little schoolgirl. But
there's nothing wrong with that. Like I got to see Wheelchair Jimmy. Like I said, it's like, you don't know what's coming for you. Like all you gotta do is cry, and you'll make so much money. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, you'll see, twist and turn.
You'll see Jimmy.
You'll see Jimmy.
They shot Jimmy Brooks. All right, Will, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I am wondering if you have anything that you'd like to shout out or promote or talk about before we part ways, sir.
The only thing that I can say is, everyone, please remember, mental health is no laughing matter. If you have the ability to talk to a therapist, please do. If you are experiencing any sort of crisis, there are many things and many tools available. I don't have the numbers on me. I don't have them on me, but you can definitely look them up online. And I would also say that I want to give a shout out to you, James. Thank you so much.
Thanks, homie.
It's been a pleasure being here with your amazing co-host. And I think I would love to be back at any given point in time if you ever invite me.
Oh, absolutely. How it goes is that if you're a guest, you're pretty much can be a co-host any other time, whenever you want to come on. So I always have it, and it doesn't necessarily, we don't have to even dive into therapy every time. It's usually we can just have chill out sessions. So
that'd be amazing.
Yeah. So definitely. It's funny because when we do end it, I'll say something before I play the outro music. Do you have anything to add at all?
Nothing. Thank you for having me again.
Yeah.
And it was a very, very interesting episode. I would love for you to come again, so we can have more sessions. Questions about these stories. It's fun.
Sorry. Ignore me. I don't know what I did. I'm pressing I fixed it. Sorry. Anyway. So yes, I'm going to be playing the outro. By the way, this outro is about therapy.
Really?
Yeah, I'll explain it to you when we exit out. But anyways, everybody, just like Will said, if you have a friend, you have people to talk to, seek out therapy, talk it out, love each other. I love you. Peace out. Goodbye. Yes.
Take a look at the feelings, gotta analyze the list of it, a feeling, gotta do this, yeah, man, gotta who that shit, gotta go ahead, baby, call that shit, baby. Call that motherfucking therapist, baby. If you don't got a therapist, call your mom. If you don't got a mom, call your motherfucking friend. If you don't got a friend, talk to the person under the bridge and they'll tell you about your problem. Gotta go talk that, gotta 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 go ahead, baby, go ahead and talk that, gotta go ahead and baby, gotta talk that, gotta go ahead and get your feelings out, baby, go ahead and talk that, gotta talk that. Talk to me, baby, girl, I wanna help you. Talk to me, baby, girl, I wanna help you. Talk to me, baby boy, I wanna help you. Talk to me, baby boy, I wanna help you. Talk to me, 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 talk to me. Go ahead and talk down. 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 Go ahe Baby, gotta talk it out, gotta get it from the inside to the outside. Gotta externalize that shit, gotta take it from the bottom of your stomach to the top of the lift and to get that out. Now you feel a little better, now you do that shit. Gotta exercise, gotta exercise, gotta exercise. Gotta exercise your mind. Gotta exercise your mind. Gotta exercise your mind.